What's up, Freeride fans, Freeride Guide fans? It's Mark.
And Eric.
And we're in the same room. We're finally back. You had quite the season over there. You were gone for like a month, right?
Yeah, it was a long time. 3 comps back to back. Georgia, Fieberbrunn, Verbier. Verbier ran early, which from a personal travel perspective was awesome because I was home more than a week early, and so for my family situation, that was definitely pretty ideal to be home a week early. But yeah, it's a long one. Athletes, staff, everybody was pretty cooked, honestly, by the end of it. It's like there's so much that goes into every event, for the riders, obviously the mental side of it and the physical side. Some of them stomped runs or not. More on the not side, I guess.
Yeah.
You're pretty beat up by the end of it and mentally drained.
Yeah, you're spending, even though there's like 5 runs, you spend 3 months traveling, thinking, focusing on all of these things. And it's like, you don't just, you don't just show up and do a run. You have to figure out, when is the comp going to happen? Because all of these little variables are things that you need to put into your, I guess, personal internal schedule of how you prepare for an event.
And they all eat up energy. Every one of those things just gobbles up your energy. Yeah. And during the season, they're not getting that energy recharged back to full. So it's this constant drain on your energy kind of levels, and it's the same for the staff. I mean, if you thought the riders were freaking out when Verbier was running early, the ops crew, they're looking at heli schedules for getting the finish and the start and the comms and the TV and everything set up. And all of a sudden, when they thought they had 4 days to do it, they have 1 day to do it. And these schedules are really, really fluid. Yeah. So everybody's just so.
And then you got on the back end too. It's like, all right, everybody, we got to get to work because we have to get press releases out. We got to edit all the clips. We got to get the GoPro stuff. We got to create images and graphics and send out all the news. And it's like, during the Kicking Horse comp, it went kind of as scheduled this year, which was really nice because they always get a schedule. But rarely is that schedule. It's basically like a loose outline.
Yeah, a guess.
Yeah, this is
a hopeful guess.
This is what we have to do. So we know that within this period of time, this is what we have to do, and this is the best guess of when we'd prefer to do it, like the optimal guess of when we'd like to do it. But rarely does it work out. But Kicking Horse this year, it actually kind of fell into that place where you have that event on the specific day, and you have the meet and greet with the town on that proper day, and then you have et cetera, and then the athletes can actually be like, oh, this is really nice. And all of the staff were the most relaxed and calm I think I've ever seen in Kicking Horse because things were going to plan.
Yeah, exactly. That was probably the only one this year that you could say went on like a normal schedule.
Right.
In the window on the weekend. The event happened on the day where the official after party was scheduled for the night.
Right.
Like it all really lined up. And then all the other ones were just weird. And it all comes down to weather.
Yep.
It really does. Like you got to run on a day where you've got at least 2 clear days, one for face check and one for the competition. So that the riders have the opportunity to, first of all, put their lines together and then go and actually do them, execute them. So yeah, that was cool. It was a lot. It was stressful at times. It was awesome at times. Down an event, but all up, I think by all metrics, a successful season.
So you just mentioned, they lost a couple events. So this episode kind of will give us a little recap of, I think we've got about 10 or 12 episodes out so far, 10, 11 or something like that. So, that's a new thing, is the Freeride Guide, right? Rebranded from the Freeride World Tour podcast. I think this is our best season yet.
Yeah.
Like and it's probably like we've had to do more this one, like you being in Europe. We did one earlier in the season. We had the Andorra and Bakura get canceled. And I know you were in Europe somewhere, Austria, I think. And I did an episode here that morning, and I ended up driving to Sun Peaks, another resort. And then they announced Verbier, I think that's what it was, and then Tiffany Periton as the wild card. So then I was in an Airbnb, and you were in a different room, I think, in Austria. And then we also had you record in Georgia, and then again in Verbier.
Yeah, and one in Austria. That was the toughest one with no Wi-Fi in a castle with stone walls.
Yeah,
and
right.
Took 3 days to upload.
Yeah. So some of you are wondering why it takes us so long to get these out. A little times is so sometimes I'll be up at like 1 a.m. recording with you, or I'll be up early and you'll be up late. And then the European Wi-Fi, the upload speeds are garbage.
It's tricky.
They're absolute garbage. But I will tell you, I am grateful for technology these days, because we were able to figure it out. We were able to make it happen, and we were able to get it done on video for the most part. So yeah, like I think this season so far has been, I think we're getting better every year. And I've had a lot of fun. So you were talking about the events that got canceled, obviously Andorra and Bikira, due to kind of warming weather, and then the tour coming together, making up, really, for the better lack of a better term, like just making up a new event.
Yeah, the quickest pivot I've definitely ever seen. Come up with an idea on Sunday night and run the comp on Friday. Unbelievable. Like, I'm so grateful, and I know every one of the riders were as well, and the fans. You know, losing 2 events when you only have 4 before the cut is heavy.
That's catastrophic, almost.
Yeah, exactly. So to be able to fill that gap in with 1 at least made a huge difference, and it brings some credibility and integrity to the series results. When you have that cut looming at the end of it, you know, it matters. And if the riders only had 2 opportunities
before the cut,
that's intense. When this is your life goal that you've finally made, and then you get 2 runs to make it.
And they're kind of lucky too, because they had added that extra event this year. They were going to have 6. So losing 2, adding 1, it's like a regular season. It's basically status quo from the last couple of years. So they understand how to run that. So it was still kind of normal. So it wasn't like, oh, like you said, there's only 2, which I think would be not the greatest, especially for the athletes. Speaking of adding, the Verbier, well, that's just a given. I think that was the best opportunity to do it, because they host an event there every single year for the last 25 or so years. That's basically just plug and play at this point. They know exactly what they need to do. Obviously, they have to get things like posters printed and documents and all of the stuff that goes around it. But when it comes down to setting up an event, doing it there, they know where the cameras need to be. They know where the judges' tent is going to go. They know where the comms tent is going to go. They know where the broadcaster. They know where everything is.
Yeah, exactly. And the equipment's close by. Their office is in Lausanne, which is just down the road from Verbier. Right. So even that, like not having to transport it all the way across Europe for this panic reboot, made things, well, it kind of made that the only option. So it worked.
Yeah. So they're got to be super stoked that pulled off. And then speaking of venues, Georgia.
Yeah, new one.
Which looked awesome. Like I said, I had some pretty full-on FOMO, to be honest with you. I really wanted to try and check that one out. You couldn't have had a more perfect start to a new venue. Beautiful day. The snow was fantastic. The venue itself is awesome. Talk a little bit about getting to Georgia.
Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard.
Getting to Georgia was hard.
From the west coast of North America, Eurasia is a long way away. So 2 overnight flights, 7 hours on a train, 4 hours driving, a 12-hour time difference. So day is night and night is day.
Right.
The Georgian people, the organizing committee, the fans, the resort staff were unbelievable. Like, so welcoming, so like they knew what they were doing. I mean, there was some juggling and some, teething stuff, but they were really good at it. And the event it wasn't easy, but it was smooth. Right. It went well. The venue's unbelievable. And I really think that we just scratched the surface of what's possible on that face.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it wasn't, maybe the one surprise for me on that one was how many people skied such similar lines in something brand new. You see that often on a face that's been used over and over and over again. There's like, okay, well, that's the money spot.
Right.
But this one was new, and it still kind of ended up that way with a lot of riders on very similar lines. And, you know, speaking to the judges and even the riders, they're like, oh, I did have this idea or that idea and wondered if that would work, but I thought this one was a safer bet. And with it being the cut, it's a tough one to roll the dice on, especially if you're in a spot where you're not sure if you're going to make it onto the finals crew. So it was, I really do think we've just scratched the surface on what's possible on that face.
Very cool. I never thought about that before too, that just the way the mountain presents itself just kind of shows where, basically it tells people this is where you're going to ride. This is the best route. So maybe now, and I never thought about it in that way, which is interesting because there's so many varied ski, like abilities and styles on the tour. The fact that a lot of them really kind of did take a similar route is interesting. And to your point, I think next year, now that people have seen that, maybe we're going to get a little bit like some more varied runs because they're like, well, this is what everybody did last year. I want to find something different. And then maybe that will help me with my line score or help me with, you know, the overall. So
yeah, for sure. And there's different stuff out there. And the other thing is snow conditions. You know, you never quite know what you're going to get. You look at a face one year and then you go the next year and things are shaped up totally differently. It snowed more or less, or the wind blew more or less. And it'll look different. And I think that'll be pretty exciting to see how the riders go back to that now that it's not brand new,
right?
And how they kind of see it and put their lines together as a returning venue versus it being totally new.
Right. Because the last time we had a new venue was, I guess, Kicking Horse.
Well, Bakira.
But yes, I guess that's right, Bakira, and it takes a couple years, I guess, to really establish itself as a face before you start going, okay, well, there's the Craig Murray Cliff, or there's the so and so's launch, like Air or whatever, you know. So I don't think we really got anything there last year, which was significant enough to be named.
Yeah, and we had less snow last year on it than we had the year before, so
yeah,
things got kind of a little bit compressed in terms of where people were going.
Yeah, interesting. So that's something I'm looking forward to for next year. And do you know if how long they have a contract signed for, or do you know if there's an agreement in place?
Yeah, I think 4 years.
Wow.
4 years on lock with Georgia. So whether it's always at Titnuldi or whether they move around to other resorts in Georgia, we'll see.
Interesting. I wonder if it is just that or the other, but very, very cool. Because it's always nice having a little bit of fresh face, I guess.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like it's something new, something that you don't know what to expect. Like it's been, 3 or 4 years of having kind of the same circuit. So having a new one as we spoke on the earlier in the season, like adding a sixth was exciting because it's a new one and they're adding so it's going to add all this other, all this extra fanfare and more things to talk about. So I'm hoping we can get 6 off next year.
Yep.
Maybe they add another one, you never know. But
totally. There's a certain leveling of the playing field that I really like too with a new face, where everybody's on the same footing instead of your veteran riders having an advantage from even just the exposure and fear and nerves of standing in a start gate and looking down, because some of the faces really have that. Like it's pretty nervy standing on the top of the Vilteloader in Fieberbrunn. Like it drops away immediately. Obviously Verbier on the back, like it's boom, straight into it. Mm-hmm. So not having that advantage for the veterans is, to me, it's just like an interesting wrench into the gears of keeping it level.
Anybody's game.
Yeah. That's
really cool. What do you think that with the current, like there was only 5 this year, and as you were saying, the travel and a lot of logistics is trying, it's wearing on you. It takes a while. With 6, and I know Andorra and Bakira are pretty close together, so it's really only like 5.5. But do you think they would be able to handle 7 in a year? We didn't quite get 6, but do you think they could expand it to 7 even? Or because it would be basically like every week you'd have an
7
event.
would be, it'd be the whole winter. There'd be really no break. Like right now, the break between Kicking Horse and Fieberbrunn got way smaller by adding Georgia.
Right. So it's like every 2 weeks you have an event sort of thing.
Yeah, and within that 2 week block, you're traveling somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the traveling that grinds you down too. Like you're getting used to new time zones, moving back and forth across the Atlantic, or
hauling all your gear.
Totally. Yeah. Just humping it through train stations and stuff. Like it all just grinds you down. Maybe, I mean, I don't know if I hope so or hope not.
Yeah, right.
I'm not sure which.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. So, you know, we talked about some injuries before this season, and some bow outs. Simon Baradan, Lily Bradley, another year where she hurt her knee. I saw her on the weekend, and she's getting through it. I think I'm hoping we'll see her again next season.
Yeah, she's requalified, so she doesn't even need an injury wildcard. She's in.
So we've got that. You know, we lost Carl near the end of the season, I think, with a knee issue as well. He wasn't sure if he was going to ride in Verbier or not, but he decided to bow out. Also qualified for next year, so that probably helped the decision. You know, why push it if I don't have to?
Yep.
You know, Taylor Dobbins unfortunately hurt her knee in that first event of the year in Verbier. I saw her this weekend.
You were working with her on the mic at the challenges.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I saw her on the chairlift. I was riding the chairlift, and we were chatting with these kids on the chair. And I went, "You look familiar." She's like, "I'm Taylor." I'm like, "Oh, you're Taylor." I'm like, "Oh, you're back on skis." So she's back on skis.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, we did a few laps at Kirkwood on a pow day in the morning, and she's looking good. She says she's slowly starting to feel like herself again. And it wasn't a full ACL or anything. It was just, I think it was MCL and something that heals itself and slowly starts getting better. So that's a really positive sign. And we do want to send out our condolences to Justine Dufour-Lapointe. She bowed out of the season this year because her mom had fallen ill. And unfortunately, her mom has passed away just recently. So we'd like to send our condolences and our heartfelt thoughts out to Justine. And, you know, hopefully this isn't, and hopefully, you know, she gets through this as best she can. She's got a really close family, and hopefully we'll see her next year.
Yeah, I hope so. We definitely, you know, I miss Justine and her spirit and energy and everything on the tour. So it's, I can't imagine what she's going through right now, but I hope that she's okay. Yeah,
absolutely. So moving on. We also had my notes here say Hedvig's triumph. You know, we had Hedvig on. I had a conversation with her at the beginning of the season here on the Freeride Guide, as we mentioned in the last episode as well. And she talked about getting through, just breaking through that barrier. You know, second place. How many times? 4 times?
3 times in a row.
3 times in a row at second place, and she's finally done it.
Yeah, I mean. Congratulations! It was the fairy tale ending to the return season. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be very interested to see if Hedvig drops the mic and walks away, or if now she wants to come and back it up. You know, I could see it easily going both ways.
Yeah. I like from what your point of view, like you just mentioned, if she drops the mic, I don't think that happens. Just based on what we talked about earlier in the season, and she was talking about I think she kind of needs that competition in her life. I think she feeds off it. I think it's like a part of her. She's been competing most of her life, so I think that, and like the stress and the adrenaline and the joy you get from, say, skiing an Alaskan line or film lines, it's a different kind of pressure, and I think she really, really feeds off of like competition. So my personal thoughts, we'll have to ask her about this, is that she's coming back next year and she has a refreshed view, because now her goal will be to win the championship, but she's already won it. So a little bit of that
pressure's off.
That little pressure's off. And, you know, she has been responsible for pushing her field in this sport to another level. I think that's fair to say with those big backflips that she started flipping. Look at what happened. We saw Manon try a double, right? Well, it doesn't happen if the first one doesn't happen, or the first 2 or 3 that Hedvig throws. I think next year we see another level of Hedvig, because with her skiing, there is a level of strategy, right? She knows where she needs to be. She knows what she needs to do. I'm going to ski hard, but I'm not going to take an unnecessary risk based on how I think it'll go. Right? You know, like if she doesn't need to take a risk but still get a good score, she's going to do that. I think we saw that this season. She skied amazingly this season, but she didn't really do anything that was like really, really on the edge where the chances of success were at a smaller percentage.
Yeah, until Verbier, when she was like, well, I got to win if I want to win.
So I'm hoping that next year we see another level from Hedvig, like full on lion.
Yeah, I would say I echo that. I hope that, but I could also see her being completely satisfied with that title. She got what she came for, and now she can move on with a level of satisfaction that wasn't there before when she left after 2022, and that just ate away at her and was like, I went there, I had a goal, I didn't achieve it, I took a year off, it burned. Like the worst kind of stomach acid all winter long. And now that she's achieved, so I don't know. Like I said, like you said, I hope for that. But I wouldn't also be that surprised if it wasn't that, and she's able to walk away with that part of her soul
fulfilled. The puzzle piece right in place. Well, that's cool. Then we had some rookies of the year, which we didn't know about when we did that last episode. We had Ben Richards, who at this point in time, I think is every favorite skier's favorite skier at the moment. Yeah. So he finished in third place in the ski men's and got rookie of the year. So good for him because he is what a season.
Yeah, overall third. The only guy to win a comp that wasn't named Marcus or Max. He kind of bookended the, or slotted himself in between the Hitzig-Gogan battle and took a win in a way that left absolutely zero doubt on the day who should have won. Like that was Ben's day, and he absolutely, he crushed that comp. And rookie of the year and third overall is a huge accomplishment for Ben, and I couldn't be happier for him. He's just such a great guy, and the way he skis is just magic to watch. He's so smooth, he's so fast. It's powerful, but it doesn't look hard or rough. It's just always. It always is, you could just relax to it. And
you're right. It's not stressful.
Yeah, it's not stressful. Like you're never really in doubt. I mean, and he did have some learning moments on the tour. Run 1 in Fieberbrunn and his run in Georgia, where angles and transitions kind of got away from him in terms of like transitioning or transferring scoping to skiing. But you learn, rookie of the year still is a rookie. And for someone who was brand new on the tour, I think he lit it up, and he could very, very likely be a super strong contender for a title in the future. That's
exciting. Another rookie of the year. Actually, before we get to that, I want to give a notable mention to say Finn Billis. When he came into the tour, not last year, but the year before, no one, I guess there was a disconnect between judging his riding, trying to figure out, hey, where does he fit? We never really saw what he was doing on the tour before. And I think this year, a little bit of both, but I think he figured out how to combine what he does within himself and be able to put runs down that the judges can now understand and see.
Yep.
And that guy took a quantum leap. I don't want to say most improved, because that means, I think that has connotations away from my point. But just watching him finish the season with 2 90-point runs, just watching what he does, watching what he did, crushing these big freeride lines while throwing in freestyle to spots where you're like, what just happened? But with style.
Yeah.
So like his I guess his progression this year was pretty amazing for me.
Yeah, he just figured out what lines they want to see and switched from doing all the stuff that he was doing on smaller features to doing it on the biggest features.
Right.
It really is that simple. Yeah. And there was never any doubt that he had the ability to do it. It was just a little bit of a line selection adjustment. Mm-hmm. And as soon as he did that, he's on the podium every time.
Yeah.
And Finn's another one that could quite easily be well in the race for the title.
He finished 4th this year?
He was 4th, just behind Ben. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, that is in the race for the title for sure.
Absolutely.
And he's got everything now. So I'm just so looking forward to seeing that. I mean, the field is unbelievably strong.
So strong.
So many runs in the 90s. It's got to be, I mean, well, we can go back and look, but it's got to be the most runs in the 90s in a season ever.
I think so. So we had 5, just in ski men, the last 2 events had 12.
Yeah.
Right? And then you had Zuza with the highest score for ski women ever with a 97. We had a couple other 90s in there. We have Erin Sauvé.
Yep.
In the high 90s. Speaking of Erin and rookies of the year, I know rookie of the year gets overshadowed when you're the world champion. it's kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Kind of a given. And we were lucky enough to get Erin on the phone or on the computer here over live stream, and we had a really nice chat with her about her season, how things have been since she got back. And we wanted to find out what was going on, so we're going to cut that in right now. Erin, welcome to the Freeride Guide, the brand newly crowned world champion, Freeride World Tour champion for 2024. Congrats!
Thank you so much, Mark. It's such an honor to be here. I'm super excited to be chatting with you guys today.
Where are you right now?
I am in Rossland, BC, at home.
How's it been coming home? Like, you know, we flew together back from Europe to Canada, at least until Vancouver, and you were kind of wondering what it was going to be like when you hit home ground. What's the transition been like?
It's been pretty awesome. Of course, the community here is stoked, and I'm getting congratulations from all sides, which is so wonderful, very heartwarming. And it's just really nice to be home and relaxing and, you know, back at my own mountain and amongst my own friends again. And yeah, it's been a nice transition. I did get a little bit sick after getting off the plane and kind of maybe relaxing for a couple of days. Just kind of washed over me, but it's been wonderful.
Yeah, I guess when you relax, that's when everything, the defenses, I guess, go down, so everything kind of catches up to you, because it's a long 3 months of travel and stress and thought. And how did you find your first season on the tour? Because I guess this is really only like your second season of competing all together, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my second season of full season competing. So it's definitely been a big winter for me. The traveling was huge. It takes a big toll on you, which you don't maybe realize as you're going through it all. Because for me, at least, it was so exciting. New sites, meeting lots of new people, and of course, you know, all of the stress and excitement that comes with actually competing. So going through it all, it felt great, and kind of coming home and relaxing it's given me some time to reflect and just kind of really see how big of a winter it was, really, overall.
You getting treated differently in Rossland now? Like, what's the sort of, I don't know, the Erin fever like there? You're kind of alluding to that a little bit before, you know, a little different.
Oh, no. I mean, everyone is super stoked. I'm getting tons of congratulations from friends and from people that I don't know, which is really awesome. But I've definitely got a couple people around me who are keeping me humble and making sure my head doesn't get too big, of course.
Every champion needs that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So what are some of the things that stood out for you this year on the tour, whether it's the travel, whether it's the events? Was there anything that kind of along the way really jumped out at you, like, wow, this is different, or wow, this is really special?
Well, I mean, the venues in Europe are just like nothing I've ever ridden in North America. Doing the Challengers last year was a bit of a taste because we got some pristine, untouched venues when we were in Whistler, Snowboard, and Taos. So that was really nice, and they were longer and just kind of bigger than what I was riding on a couple of the 2 stars and 4 stars. But then going to Europe, I mean, the mountains are completely different. They're even longer runs, huge cliff options. And that was, I mean, something to get used to. Definitely our first competition in Verbier gave me a big wake-up call.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because it was definitely your season was on a really like progressive curve, and from my seat in the booth and watching it kind of looked like you were figuring it out on the go, and the difference, and I think maybe something that's really cool was being able to ride the same face for the last comp as you rode for the first comp, and watching the difference in your run between those two. How did your mindset go? Because it was the first comp was like you said, eye-opening, maybe a little bit humbling, didn't quite go your way, and then it just went better and better and better and better kind of after that. So like I don't know what went into that, and how do you feel about it?
Well, I think that first competition really just lit a fire under my ass. I kind of came to the realization of what I was really dealing with in terms of the scope of venue, the level of competition, and just what was expected of us. So I would almost say it was kind of necessary to really get me moving in the right direction. And doing well in a competition, staying on your feet just gives you a little bit of confidence. So coming in third in Kicking Horse was a really huge confidence boost and gave me the momentum to kind of, okay, now I can push harder. I am good at snowboarding. I can jump off cliffs and, land my runs. So that gave me motivation to go bigger in Georgia. And then also having good snow conditions is so huge. So then hitting Georgia and just having 30 centimeters of fresh on this pristine venue that we've never ridden before, that was a huge confidence boost. And then I think going along through the tour, I was pretty uncomfortable at that first stop. I didn't know anyone. I'd never been to Europe before. And over the weeks, you make some friends and you get comfortable with traveling and with being away from home. And that kind of allowed me to be a little bit more comfortable and just make some good decisions for myself, which, resulted in some really nice finishes at the end in the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. We had talked about it on the show here, and we were wondering pretty much. You've just answered kind of what we were talking about. We were saying like, hey, when you won that first event, we're like, hey, has she figured it out? Like, did it take her a while to have that that learning process? Sort things out, get her legs underneath her, and be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do what I do now.
Yeah, absolutely. It took some time, and also understanding the judging, from region 1 to region 2 was a big thing. I'm a big fan of talking to the judges and getting a good understanding of what they're looking for, kind of figuring out, a bit of the formula that goes into a winning run. And so if you can kind of piece that together and then work backwards and put that into your run, then you're probably off to a pretty solid start.
Okay, I want to talk about that because you had the crashes and the write-off in the first comp, and then it was third, second, first. And in Fieberbrunn, it was a different approach, and a much, much more aggressive approach. I mean, you did something that nobody's done before. The Huysel Cliff, you're the first snowboard woman to go off that, and also the first one to stomp it, which is nice to be both. But it definitely seemed like the aggression in line selection took a big step up from Fieberbrunn, like from Georgia to Fieberbrunn, and then kept that momentum rolling. So I guess this is a two-parter. The first one is what changed there in your mindset, and then the second one is you're now in a position where you're inspiring the rest of the field, not just inspiring, but pushing. And we saw that, I think, a little bit in Verbier, where everyone stepped the game up. So the first one, what changed in your mindset going from Georgia to Fieberbrunn, where all of a sudden it was like, was that judge conversation? Because you said that was really important to you, or was it just something that you kind of were burning for?
Well, so after having two comps with a podium place. I knew that, I really wanted to push it moving into the finals. And I wanted to pick a line that was a winning line, not just a fun line, but a winning line. And so that was kind of the change for me. Is the previous competitions, I was thinking, okay, what's going to be fun for me? What's going to get some good points, but, be the best flow and link up some good features. And then moving into Feverbroon was definitely more of a what's the winning line. And yeah, talking to the judges for sure and finding out just how important, a couple of big features would be instead of pack manning, which is something that we learned, is that it's freeride. We're jumping off big cliffs and going fast and being smooth. So that definitely came into my my calculations for picking my line.
And then
Sorry,
kept
what
it
was
rolling.
the second question?
Yeah, well, kept it rolling into Verbier too. Like you went in with the same attitude and again got the same result. Was that was the same plan, kind of like we're not looking for, not messing around.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're going big and we're going fast and we're going smooth. So I was looking for the biggest features that I could line up that would just be like nice and fall line and easy to piece together. And yeah, I had really wanted to get a double at the top of my Verbier run. Last minute decision not to, which, it ended up all right anyway. But yeah, that was the idea, is like go big, get those huge features in and ride fast.
Yeah. So the second part of that was like your kind of impact now on the rest of the field. Is that something that you recognize, care about, even think about, or is it just like I'm doing this and they can do whatever?
No, absolutely. I think it's really awesome. It's a huge honor to be a part of the push and the progress for women snowboarding. I definitely came into the tour with the goal of pushing my own riding. And I mean, with the eventual result to push women's snowboarding in general. And so that's really great. I mean, I saw it in Austria after I landed that cliff. Nuria came in for her second run and also tried the Heusel cliff. And like, that's wicked. If other women are seeing that and being inspired, then hell yeah.
So I have a bit of a follow-up for that too. So, you've been home for a little while, and tomorrow in your home mountain of Red, which you're a coach at, you're doing kind of a ski around day, kind of a celebrity, I guess, parade, for the lack of a better, it's time for the championship parade tomorrow around Red. Do you see, obviously this is an opportunity now for you to kind of take this notoriety and this achievement to kind of push the sport even further. Have you already seen like little girls or kids come up to you since you've been back being like, hey, can we go riding? Or do you see now that you have an even better opportunity to kind of push that forward?
Yeah, I haven't been approached by too many people, but I definitely think this is a huge opportunity to be a role model and to continue that movement. Locally is going to be really nice. I get to kind of reach out and have a personal impact. And then, I mean, if it could be a more widespread reach through the Freeride World Tour videos that are online, yeah, it's such an honor, and I'm so grateful to, like I said, to be part of that.
And okay, so go ahead, Derek. No, please.
Well,
go ahead.
We just wrapped the season, and it's it's only a couple weeks ago, but already, even in Verbier, you were talking about thoughts, plans, development pathway for next season. Where do you want to go with your riding? What do you want to see from yourself as we move into future FWT seasons? Where do you go from the top?
Well, that run in Verbier was a kind of a new benchmark for me, I think. So keeping it at that level, huge cliffs, fast and smooth. And I really want to throw in spins and maybe an inversion next year. These are my goals. I think that the snowboard women are capable of that across the board. It just hasn't been done yet, and we need to throw it out there. I mean, if we're falling, that's fine. Whatever. We need to put it in our runs and really step things up. So I'm stoked for that for myself. And if that means that it's pushing some of the other women to also get to that level, then hell yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, not only were you world champion, you're also rookie of the year, which is great as well. So I don't know, would you put both of those on your Instagram bio? World champion, rookie of the year?
I guess I should. I don't know if there's enough characters to allow my Instagram bio to hold that.
Right. Now, I also have a quick question for you. So within the field of athletes, over the last several years, it's gotten younger and younger and younger. You're a little bit older than a lot of those athletes. So you're kind of getting into freeride a little bit later in your career. What made you decide to start competing now?
Well, a lot of the inspiration came from some of my coaches. One coach in particular, Andres Ron, shout out, homie. There have been freeride competitions at Red Mountain for ages now. And so I did kind of witness the freeride here and was inspired by that as well. So kind of a combination of pressure from my friends and seeing it in person. And my first comp here, I believe, was in maybe 2019, and I came in second. And I'm a very competitive person, so I got really excited that if I could enter a competition for the first time without knowing anything about it and come in second, then I would do it again the next year and I would come in first, which I did, actually. So like that really, got that competitive edge into me. And, joining the freeride community was huge as well. Seeing how welcoming it was and supportive. I got so many warm fuzzies from those first competitions and was really excited to come back. So that was kind of the push. And I mean, I have worked full time my whole career, my whole life, including in the winter. And so it was always just kind of like a for fun thing. And I guess a couple of years ago, I entered a couple more competitions. I did really well. And I figured that why not fully commit, try to get into the challengers and see how I do. And age is only a number,
No, absolutely. I didn't even mention age. I just said a little bit to specify. I said just a little bit.
1 year later, you're world champ. Okay. So 2 years in a row now, we've got Canadian women world champions of snowboarding. Katie's going to be coming back next year, and we'll have two champions in the field. How like, what's your relationship with Katie, and how are you stoked or nervous or whatever, like, to have her back in the mix?
So me and Katie met last year, and immediately I was smitten, of course, because she was the champion and she is such a lovely soul. And I was super excited to be on tour with her this year. I was really looking forward to it. I know she's also progressing the sport and such a strong rider. So I was pretty bummed when I found out that she got injured at the start of the season and wouldn't be joining us. So no, I'm excited for next year. If she's going to be back, I'm hoping she's, full strength, fully healed. And I'm looking forward to spending the winter, becoming better friends with her, and really raising up that level of competition.
Yeah, that's amazing. And with Katie and yourself, I'd also love to see Marion come in for a wild card and see like the past three champions go head to head. I think that would be pretty exciting.
Ooh, that would be amazing, especially as she's Natty Select champion now too. She's holding all of the most awesome titles. That would be such a fun experience, a huge challenge. Absolutely. but I think that would be really exciting.
Yep, I hope so. And I think having Katie back and having someone like you who seems to be a great ambassador for the sport is great, because I think that one category has been working hard at growing over the past few years, and is, I think, slowly starting to pick up momentum. And I think having you around and being able and doing what you've just done, I think is a huge step in the right direction.
Thank you. I am honored to be a part of the progression, like I've said a couple times already. And yeah, making our field bigger, hopefully, fingers crossed, in the future, and really pushing things forward. So yeah, I'm just stoked to be a part of it all and, on this team.
Right on. Well, we know that, Derek, you got anything else for Erin?
No, I just want to thank you for joining us and taking the time. I know you're busy right now, and you've got the Shred with Erin Day coming up tomorrow. And then, just the digesting it all, taking it all in. It's so busy, event to event to event, all the travel, the trains and planes and everything. So yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to join us here and just share some of your thoughts.
No problem. It is my pleasure to be on the show with you guys. I'm super happy to be here and to be having a chat with you this afternoon.
Awesome. We'll have fun tomorrow with all of your hordes of brand new fans.
Thank you so much. I'm sure it'll be a good time.
All right. Take it easy.
Thanks, Erin.
Thanks, guys.
So yeah, as you can see, she's super stoked. Red Mountain and Roslyn has to be super proud of her. And I'm excited to see what she brings next year.
She's fired up. Erin is fired up. I love that attitude that I'm world champion, but I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
I think that's such a cool mindset that she's got. And I cannot wait. I can't wait to see what she brings and the rest of the crew in the snowboard women brings. I think that category is on fire right now and elevating fast. And, I'm so stoked for Erin that she's a big part of that. Yeah. And I think she's wearing that well.
She's going to be a great ambassador for the sport, specifically in a division that over the last, 4 or 5 years has had its, I guess, news, some drama, but that really comes within trying to grow. Right, we're really trying to get that category more athletes, more notoriety, and I think she's the right person to kind of lead the charge right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's on. It's happening. What everyone wants, it's here.
Yep,
and I love it.
And moving forward into next year, things that I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Katie Anderson, Erin Sauvé head-to-head battle for snowboard women. We haven't really ever had a head-to-head with champions since Marion. So Marion bowed out after 4 straight wins.
Yep.
So we haven't really seen the best of the best because it was just her, right?
Exactly.
In the last 6 years, right? So now we have 2 champions back-to-back years that are going to be able to battle moving forward. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah,
the Kootenai Showdown, it's pretty... it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch those two. And the other thing, Erin kind of mentioned is they're homies. So they're going to have that fight on the mountain, but then, be celebrating together. It reminds me also of Ben and Finn, the
Kiwi boys.
Yeah, super tight, but also, they still want to beat each other, but also they want the best for each other. And I think that's one of the parts of the spirit of this that's, I don't know, that attracts me to it.
Another head-to-head battle, which is going to be wild next year. Again, Marcus and Max once again. But then, of course, there could be some dark horse. Well, dark horse is even a bad word because everybody in that field can win. But right now, it's Max and Marcus kind of taking a little step ahead of the rest of the field. So we'll see how that goes next year and see if anybody else inserts them into that battle.
Yeah, exactly. See who goes back to the lab over the summer, whether it's the water ramps or the airbags or the gym or all of the above, and puts the pieces together. Because that field there's definitely a bunch of riders. I'll be psyched to see who comes up and steps up their game to see if they can catch the runaway freight train that is Gogan Hitzig right now.
Right. And then for ski women, if Justine comes back, I'd like to see her the head to Hedvig. Justine versus Hedvig would be a great battle. But then there's also the duo of Manon and Astrid.
Yep.
Who really showed, those rookies really showed what they're made of this year. And like we were talking about on the last episode with Manon going for the double. And she later was, and you know, I asked you, we talked about that, and I was like, well, why wouldn't you just want to win? She put in a post. She's like, that's what I wanted to do. That's all I was doing. I didn't care. This is what I'm doing. I want to put my stamp on this category, on this sport. She's like, she'll land it next year. She'll be the first.
Yeah, I back that. I think you're right.
Unless Astrid beats her to it.
Totally. Or Justine. I mean, it's not like Justine doesn't know how to do doubles. Like she has that also in her. Or
Hedvig, you never know.
Totally. That one of all of them is probably the most wide open, where everyone in the field has what it takes to win, and they will have all watched Manon do that double in the quest to be first and go, well, maybe I should be first to do that.
Right.
You know, and that's exciting.
That's really exciting. It's an arms race.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Keep your eye on Instagram in the ski women's field, because the airbags are going to be going off this summer.
Oh man, it's easy. I guess it's an easy time to be a clip maker, like an FWT clip maker for like Instagram reels and all that kind of stuff. Because just
plenty of content.
It's just it's almost a circus now. It's but in the best way. Like there's flips and spins. It's like Cirque du Freeride.
Yeah. No, it's super exciting, and I think the energy that Manon and Astrid brought to the field this year is contagious. You know, they're hungry, and they're young. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's like a long career ahead of both of those women, but they're kind of bringing a new fire to it, and it's like, get on board or get out of the way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I like it. And then we have, like, with snowboard men, obviously Victor couldn't quite complete the sweep.
Yeah.
But we'll see if he's able to carry that on next year, that dominance in through to next season, and we'll see who steps up.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a suspicion, just based on the climb this year, that Liam Rivera is going to be a contender next year. He's going to be more in that fight than he was this year, because every event he got stronger and stronger and stronger, and started figuring out how to put runs together to his feet. Because it was never a matter of the, if
he's capable,
or the recipe. It's just they didn't quite work out. You know, a little edge catch here, a funny fall there.
Yeah.
And we saw that. He was probably one of the biggest beneficiaries of the 2-run format in Fieberbrunn, where his second run put him onto the podium.
Right.
So yeah, I have a suspicion. And then, you know, the usual suspects. I mean, John Powell, Jonathan Penfield cannot be counted out. He's quiet in conversation, but he just lets his riding do the talking. Yeah. And, you know, time after time after time, he's right there chasing Victor. And I think he's probably would love to take it to him a little bit and actually beat Victor a bit more often, as he did in Verbier. So we'll see how that goes. But I think that field's another one where people are going to look at what Victor did this year and go, but I can do that. So next year I will. And I think we'll see that on the start gate of the first comp in the 2025 season.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And we've got a backslap email, as we've been telling you guys all season. If you like what we have to say and you want to give us a slap on the back, or we completely missed a take and we fully backslapped the landing, and we wanted to hear from you, and you have been sending in a lot of great emails. So thanks to you all for that. We got one right here. You want to send them to backslap@freerideguidepodcast.com. You can still send them in now, because we may have, you know, once we get some information in the summer or later in the fall, we'll read them. We want to hear what you have to say. So we've got one here. So this one is from Nick from Calgary. Again, he's actually sent one before, but this is a good one. What a wild season. I just wanted to highlight something that you two, and Derek when he's on the commentary, talk about often, but it's worth giving the spotlight to at the end of the season. How often you two mention just how nice and kind and just a good person every one of the athletes on tour is. I really think that it's a special part of our sport, the camaraderie and family and positivity for each other. Not every sport has that. And I hope we don't lose that as the sport gets bigger. I don't need fake sports drama. This is a competition with serious physical consequences, so it's just heartwarming to see how much community there is. All that said, they can't all be the nicest person ever, so who's the nicest? And this podcast has been awesome this season, gentlemen. Hope you can keep it going. Well, thanks very much, Nick. I will say that we have tried to create a little bit of drama, just between ourselves about the competition, but when it comes down to the people, I think you hit the nail on the head, and that's why we talk about it so much.
Yeah, the community is everything. The riders they're so close, and I think at least a part of it, if not the biggest part, is that shared experience, the shared risk. You know, in the inspection time, in the face check, they're all looking, and there's very few of them, if any now, that aren't talking pretty openly about their plans with the other riders. They're not keeping it hidden or anything, and other riders will kind of chime in and be like, well, I don't know if you should do that. That seems risky, or maybe you should take this angle, or you know, all of those kinds of things. And I think sharing risk with a group of people like that is a real bonding experience, and creates that family and community piece of it. And I think also both the IFSA and the FWT in their separate corners, in their regions, have done a really good job in building community and culture around freeride that has that part of it. The feeling of being part of something that's bigger than yourself, and of, you know, the best expression of it is the dog pile in the finish line. When somebody skis through the finish line, the people who have already run and the spectators run into the finish corral and jump on them and hug them and cheer for them, you know, successful or not. And that, I think, is the ultimate expression of the community feeling of it, I think. But it is there. I totally agree with you, Nick, that I hope we don't lose it as it gets bigger, but I don't see it.
I don't see it
because
either.
the juniors are the ones where that flame is the brightest. And for the most part, barring a few exceptions like Erin and Hitzig, and I'm not saying anything about them in the community, but those juniors are the ones rising up through the ranks, through the challengers, and putting themselves onto the tour. And they already have that so deeply ingrained in them that they're not going to lose it just because of a different level of competition. It's there, and I think it's there to stay.
I saw that firsthand with the challengers as well, because a lot of those athletes came up through the juniors, but have also been competing through the qualifiers, 2, 3, 4 stars all season long. So they all know each other. They all hang out at each other's houses. They all stop off and visit, and it's just it starts kind of at the grassroots, and it just works itself up into the freeride, and it's just it's a continuation of that culture once it arrives in the FWT.
100%. And a lot of the riders, when they get to the tour, they don't know each other, and they're, you know, we heard from Erin earlier, like, they're feeling a little nervous and intimidated because it's this big show and there's these rock stars that they've watched on TV, and then you get into dinner in the hotel on the first night and realize, oh, these people are
just like me.
Yeah, exactly. And the friendships that are bonded there, even at the pro level, are just as strong, just as tight as they are for the challengers, qualifiers, and the kids.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say who's the nicest. They can't all be the nicest person ever, but I will say that there's not a single person on the tour right now that I wouldn't be more than happy to share a beer or dinner with, and just sit and shoot the shit and hang out with.
Right.
Every single person there right now is just great to be around. So yeah, they can't all be the nicest person ever. They can, and they are.
That's a good way of getting around that one. All right, so this was kind of a quick little recap of the season. I had a lot of fun doing this once again, as we mentioned. Another great season, and we're going to get set up for the next one. Freeride Guide is here to stay. We have another episode. If you've gotten this far, this isn't the last one. We're going to do another episode because we just finished the Challengers. Region 1 and Region 2 just finished up. I was actually down for the last event for Kirkwood. So we are going to go and do that episode now. We're going to cut it here in a minute, but then stay tuned because we'll have that one out shortly. And that'll be kind of a precursor to the athletes and wildcard episode that we'll have at the beginning of next season.
Yeah.
All right. Nice to see you in person this time, Derek. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you send your feedback to the Backslap. So this isn't the last episode. We want you to send us your feedback to backslap@freerideguidepodcast.com. That's backslap@freeridepodcast.com. If you can follow us on Instagram, whatever podcast app you listen to your podcasts on, find the Free Ride Guide, hit that follow, hit that subscribe, hit that like, give us a review. We're also on YouTube, on the Low Pressure Podcast YouTube channel. It's kind of a network of shows through there. We're stoked that you're here. First season, official season of the Free Ride Guide. We've been at it for a few years now, but Free Ride Guide is here to stay. And we might even have some merch and stuff coming in the new season. Whoa. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And don't go too far because we've got another episode talking about the challengers and who's going to be on the tour next year coming up real soon.
This has been a RedMark Media production.